Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Judy again from Running So and So, and it literally is nearly 24 hours since I sat here and I recorded my Friday sews, and I'm back here again. What have I been up to? I've been to the Knitting and Stitching Show in Harrogate, and I thought rather than wait till Friday, which is another week away, I'm going to catch up with you today about my trip to the Knitting and Stitching Show and share with you some of the wonderful things that I saw, some of the wonderful things I bought, and some of the people I met. So let's start. I went with Melanie. It's about an hour's drive from here to Harrogate. She thought it was the showground, and I had to convince her it was the conference centre because she was about to go and park in the showground. So that was a great start to the day. And we got in there and off we tootled around the halls. Now, it was the first time Melanie's been to a show like this, and what we decided to do was to go around all the stalls that we could and look at what was available and not buy anything until after lunch, and that is exactly what we did. But on our journey, one of the first lovely people we met was Caroline from Little Rosy Cheeks. She's brought out a new range of children's clothing patterns, so I'm just going to pop some footage in here when Melanie meets Caroline, because I've actually bought Made by Nana labels for Melanie from Caroline on a couple of occasions. Just adorable. Caroline's weekends. Absolutely loving them. Caroline is... Hi Caroline! She's meeting Melanie.
Here she is, here she is.
Now, there were absolutely loads and loads of stall holders there. All the usual suspects were there. Rainbow Fabrics, M. Rosenberg and Son, Bombay Stores, all the main sewing machine brands people were there. There were people selling lights, people selling sewing extension tables. You needed it, you were able to buy it. Haberdashery galore, and knitting supplies, cross-stitch supplies, patchwork supplies, beading supplies. It was a total fiesta of different craft things that you could buy. But I went with one pattern in mind, and it was the Pogonip pattern by the Friday Pattern Company, which I now have printed off here in my hand. Ta-da! And I wanted some fabric for this. So that was my focus for today, and it was really good to go with a bit of a focus about what it was that I wanted to buy. It is nearly Christmas. I'm trying to be sensible. Can I please emphasize the word trying? So we wandered around and I did see various fabrics, and the first stall we came to was Higgs Higgs. And they were the first people that had a fabric that attracted me. Now, the fabric I saw was wonderful, but it wasn't right for this pullover. Well, it might have been right for the pullover, but it wasn't right for the pullover that I wanted to make. But on the stand, they had the most fantastic wool blend fabric. It's totally not what I would ordinarily buy, but look at that. Now the pullover, the Pogonip Pullover, I keep wanting to call it the Pogo Knit. The Pogonip Pullover is made from either a, you can have it from a stretch or a woven fabric. And this is the fabric that I chose, and it's from Higgs Higgs. It is a wool blend. I will have to go onto the website to try and see what it is exactly made of. But it is absolutely beautiful, and it really will keep me warm on a cold day. Now, it does require a little bit of lining, and I thought it would be really good to get some simple cotton lining to go behind it where necessary, and I picked up this from Higgs Higgs. It is just a little piece of simple cotton fabric, probably more of a quilting fabric, but if I said to you this was more per metre than this, I do not know how they had this at £10 a metre. They had it in red, with a red background and more sort of purpley swirls on it, which Melanie quite liked. But the time I got there, they'd sold out of that. But it was the purple that I was after. So I'm really, really excited that I've bought a beautiful fabric for that. Now, I've got a notebook here and I've got all these little cards and things, and it's lovely when you go around the shows because even if you don't want to buy anything, you can pick up a card like so, and you can just pop it. If you've got a scrapbook, I have books that I put these cards in, or I put them up onto my notice board. The notice board, where's the window? Here. There. Whoops, going back a bit, that way. That one there. That little pocket there, it's got lots of little cards like this in. And it's all the people that I've met at shows that sell various sort of different buttons, haberdasheries, fabrics that I've seen, and I've thought, oh, do you know, maybe in the future I might like to contact them. Now, this lady I met, she's called Emma Humphreys, and she's from Popplestone Studio. And they make the most fantastic buttons. And she makes them from a polymer clay, such as Fimo. Let me just hold this up so that you can see it. Can you see how intricate these buttons are? And I do not think that this photograph does it justice. What she offers are unique handmade buttons in various shapes, but she offers a free colour matching service. So when she puts the buttons together, so she puts the clay together in a lovely, here, she puts the clay together in little tubes, rolls it out like so, and she can then cut shapes out for the separate individual buttons. But because you can see it comes into a great big sort of flat mass like so, you can have the buttons using colour matches from various different shades. But the shades on each individual button will be separate. Melanie and I were absolutely fascinated by these buttons, totally fascinated by them. And here you go, here's some footage where Melanie and I look at the buttons. I just found this lovely company called Popplestone Studio, and look at these buttons. They're handmade on the Isle of Scilly. Just absolutely gorgeous. There's the inspiration pictures. Like that top there, and coming down here. Absolutely stunning. I'm absolutely hooked. I've seen some fabric and I think I might need going. So the footage you have just seen is when I first met Emma and we looked at the buttons. I'm now going to insert the footage when we went back to choose the buttons to go with the beautiful fabric that I bought from Higgs Higgs. And it leads into the discussions that we then had with Emma. No, I'm just videoing the process of colour matching the buttons with the lovely Emma here. Now those are the ones I had in mind. Can you take off? Yeah. Okay. I did like the heart ones because the hearts had got a lot of the colours in them. So tricky. Come back in a minute. This one. So I've got it recording. Emma's taken away my fabric for the button matching service, and she is going to make some buttons to match this lovely fabric I bought. It'll be very exciting.
My first job when I get back.
Oh, you've got a lot in that box to do though.
No.
You're going to be very busy.
I organise by colour because some are might be similar, and I can make use of different colours.
I see.
Mix and match. Inside your house.
So here they all are. Here they all are in here. As you will see there, I have left a piece of my fabric with Emma, and she is going to try and do a colour match because she wasn't happy with the buttons she had. She was like, please, 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 let me do a colour match, and it's going to cost me no more. And the buttons that she has that are spare will just go into her stock for other people to buy and to use for their projects. And she will send me a selection of buttons that I can choose from. So if you've got an interesting piece of fabric and you need a button making to match, I've put the link in the description box below. Do get in touch with her. This is not an ad. She has not paid me to say this. This is my experience of how I find her on the day. She was utterly delightful. And Melanie and I stood and chatted to her for so long. It was absolutely wonderful. It made our day. Really, really lovely. Now, the other company that we ran into was a company called Little Legs. And they have got a wonderful variety of different fabrics, and it's mainly jersey fabrics. And they actually had the Ottoman, hold on. I wrote loads down because I could never remember it all. And I've got it all in my book. The Ottoman jersey, which was the fabric that I bought in Joann's last summer, and I went wild about, they've actually got it at Little Eggs Fabric. So I was utterly delighted to find them. And they're based in Lancashire. Now, the other thing they had was the most fantastic selection of patterns for little people. So please forgive me. I've got something else in front of me here. There's a latest scan picture of my little grandson. There's his head and his body. Isn't it gorgeous? That was taken last week. So, Nana, Grandma, has been out and she has bought something for the wee one. I thought it would be wrong because Melanie was buying things for her granddaughter. So I have bought the Waves and Wild Harem romper pattern. And I do like to get the paper pattern because it makes it so much easier. I can just lay it out, iron it, trace it and put it away. And I am going to make it in this beautiful, beautiful deer fabric that I bought as well. You needed 50 centimetres. So I think I'm allowed to buy something for my grandson. Just one little thing. I know I said in my last vlog I wasn't going to do anything, but you know, that fabric, it's an all year round fabric, isn't it? And the romper, I can have it with long legs, short legs, short legs, long sleeves, short sleeves, open at the bottom, closed at the bottom, whatever I fancy. So I can just make that little all-in-one for my grandson, which I'm so excited to be able to do. But I've got a lovely spring-like fabric and I can put that away. Another company that we went and spoke to were the people at Aurifil. Aurifil had the most wonderful stand where you could go and see them and you could just chat about the different threads that they have and how they work on different fabrics. They also had a company there that sell the threads as well, but they were only selling them in very large reels. So I've picked up they've given me a card that tells me all about the different threads and the different, well, you won't be able to pick this out here, but it basically tells me the weights and the recommendations for the fabric. I've got the Aurifil chart here, which again gives me a further explanation about the different threads and how they work on your fabric to give you that better stitch. And the idea is because they burn off the floss down the side of the threads, you do not get that floss and thread fluff build up within your machine. And they give you a little reel of thread as well to try. So I am going to change the thread in my sewing machine, and as I work on the advent calendars for Melanie's grandchildren, I am going to use this lovely reel of Aurifil thread. What a complicated thing to say. Do not go dark on me, lighting. I will see how this lovely thread works and whether it fluffs up my sewing machine. So I'm really, really excited about being able to do that little bit of a test for myself. But this is one of the most useful things that you can do at the shows. You can go and talk to suppliers and people that are knowledgeable about the different threads, machines. There was Jen from Generates there, and she does a lot of haberdashery equipment. You can talk to her about what you can buy, what its purposes are for, and if you don't want to buy it there on the day, you can go home, think about it, and then order it online. But at least you've had the chance to see it, and that was the main thing that I wanted out of today. I wanted to go and see what was out there, what was new to the market, new innovations, and how I could use it within my sewing. So I did buy something else that might be a little bit obvious. It says, made by Grandma. So Caroline was chuffed to be able to sell those to me when I told her that I needed to buy them for myself this time and not for the lady stood next to me. And Caroline kindly gifted me this. I made this label, which I might put inside my lovely Pogonip Pullover, which I think is going to fly to the top of my makes list because It can get a bit chilly in Castle Howard in the winter. So let me just, now, there are 2 more things that I bought. Yesterday, when I was doing my Friday Sews vlog, I talked about the Trudy Turtleneck sweater. And I went up to see the lovely Jenny from Jenny Stitches, whom I do blogs for. And I noticed right at the bottom of her pile of fabric that she had there, that she had this. Now, it's one of these beautiful ribbed jerseys. I wonder if I can get that up to the camera so you can see. Can you see how it's ribbed? Now, I thought this would actually go beautifully under. So if you remember yesterday, I was showing you this fabric from the Linden sweater. Can you see this one here? Now look, this would work as a Trudy turtleneck. Underneath that would work underneath, because the colours are so, oops, there we go. The colours sort of work together. So you could just see this poking out of the top with that lovely white rib around the neck. So that is something else that I need to persevere on with. And I think what I might do is to try and get these finished to show you on Friday Sews next week, because that will be an exciting thing to show you. And the last thing is, this is what happened as we left. So this is the end of the Knitting and Stitching Show. Coming to the door. Melanie is just wandering that way down. Still beautiful, beautiful things to look at as we come down to the door. But we have been here since 11:30 this morning, and it's now 4:30. And we only stopped for how long, Melanie? 10 minutes? Half an hour? Half an hour. Oh yeah, and we met Sam from Frugalism. Yes, we were. Oh, I need to go here. Jill's Buttons. This gentleman here. This is the gentleman that sells the... I have promised to make my son a shirt. And a few weeks ago I texted Adam and said, help, I need to get a shirt pattern for Tristan. And he said, you need to get the Shacket pattern by Mark Francis. And the lovely Mark, I asked him if he wouldn't mind signing my pattern for me, because I think it's so special if you meet the designer. This is now a really precious pattern, and I was able to buy this particular pattern. Now, this is something I've needed to buy for a very long time. And he talked me through it, and he talked about what I could do to adapt it and the adaptations which he has thought about for the pattern and that he's put into the pattern instructions. So I have bought this, and the aim is to make this for my son, but the first model of this that my son will get is one made out of an old bed sheet to make certain it fits, because my son is tall and very, very lanky. And he's got very, very broad shoulders. Don't I know it? Anyhow, so this is for Tristan, and then the lovely Mark. We had a photograph taken together. So thank you, Mark, and thank you, Adam. It was absolutely lovely to meet Mark today. And Adam, thank you so much for recommending that I go and find Mark. So thank you ever so much for watching today. I do hope you've enjoyed my little whistle-stop tour of what happened when we went to the Knitting and Stitching Show today. Melanie and I have had the most delightful day. We've not stopped talking, and it just shows how lovely it is to spend time with your friends. And we were completely cocooned away from all invaders, apart from sewing ones. We've met and talked to some of the most delightful people today. If you were a subscriber, thank you so much for coming and saying hello. You do not know how much it means to me when you actually stop and say, hello, Judi. And I've chatted to so many subscribers today, and if you were one of those that said hello, it was great to meet you. And if you saw me and you thought, should have said hello, next time. But it was lovely if you saw me and I didn't know who you were, but it was lovely to see everybody today. It was busy, but it was just lovely to be part of that sewing buzz today. And Melanie is now hooked on knitting and stitching shows as well as me. So thank you so much for sticking with me. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, it would be wonderful to have you on board. So hit the little button that says subscribe. And I can tell you that the sleeve video is all but ready. I'm being a little bit of a fusspot with it, and it will be out very soon. So for now, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you all again on Friday for Friday Sews. Bye-bye.